We are just 1 week away from WrestleMania, and the WWE card market is absolutely exploding. We're going to get into all that and more on a new episode, Two Heels, One Hobby.
You're locked in to Two Heels, One Hobby, the main event for wrestling fans and collectors. Headlines, heat, and high-end cards, hosted by Beer and the Grinch. This is the main event.
Welcome back to another episode of Two Heels, One Hobby. As always, one half of your tag team duo, the Bearded Grinch, alongside my partner, Beer. Beer, how are you, sir?
Doing well. Glad to be back. It's been a while since we've done a show, and a lot's happened. I mean, we got a lot going on in the world of WWE. We're going to talk about card releases seemingly every week. We're getting a new product, so a lot to talk about. So glad to be back here, rapping with you here on some WWE action.
Yeah, I'm naming it the Fast and the Furious. If I was to give it a movie title, it looks like all of a sudden there was this hiatus for a couple months with nothing, where we were just salivating for when is the next product coming. Topps did not disappoint. They are coming fast and furious, but we're going to talk about, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But if we start off with product releases, April 1st brought us Exalted, right? So this was kind of one of the new entrees for Topps into the card market space with one of their own. A new product that I think a lot of people were kind of skeptical on, didn't really know what to expect out of it. Released out in April, really limited. So there's only 5 cards per pack. There's 1 pack per box and 10 packs in a hobby case if you're fortunate enough to be able to grab that much. But upon first just initial looking at the cards, the design to me was really appealing. I liked the look of them. I thought it really popped. I liked a lot of the white background to it. I like the simplicity in some things. I think sometimes they can kind of overshoot it. And if you've had these cards in hand, which I know you have, the card stock is something that Topps has impressed me with. They've started using a thicker card stock, and that's something that really appealed to me. But give me your overall first impressions on the Exalted product and what you thought about it.
Yeah, I'm a fan as well. I like the designs. I like some of the cards. I like the scarcity of it. You know, I think a lot of people get scared off of 1 pack in a box, but you know, you're guaranteed a couple of autos in there and a relic. So overall, I like the product. The problem is we didn't really get to enjoy it. It seemed like, you know, even Universe came out, and then it was Exalted, and then Chrome. And it's part of both the excitement and the problem right now is people are, it almost feels like your head's spinning. You're kind of drowning in, you know, what to attack, what to go after. But I totally agree on the card stock. I was disappointed in Universe. A lot of those cards, the quality was bad. We saw people opening up, you know, boxes, and every corner of every card was bent. And I've seen a lot of, you know, whiting on the corners of those cards. So was disappointed in that. But this Exalted set, I think there's going to be a great opportunity right now to, as it kind of gets squeezed, to really jump in and buy the singles that you want here at a pretty reasonable price, with everybody so excited about Chrome and royalty right around the corner, that there's great opportunity here, whether it's in a break with people basically just trying to get rid of it. You know, we've seen it, people are kind of stuck with it now with everybody excited about Chrome. So if you're like us, you like these cards, I think there's great opportunity to jump in, whether it's a break or buying singles, and really nabbing the cards you're looking for.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things too, as collectors, we get a little bit stuck in our ways, right? And it's hard to pull out of that. So I heard there was some disappointment with Exalted for a couple reasons. Now, one, obviously, when it's only 5 cards, the risk reward is going to be there, right? You can have some boxes that are going to hit really good. You're going to get those sought after autos. Then there's going to be some that people would consider a bit of a dud. There was also no quote unquote case hit or chase in this, right? You had an exclusive set for the last time is now on Cena. There were some really cool, you know, match worn patches. And that's what I do like about Exalted, is everything was event used. While it didn't give a specific event, you were getting something that, you know, at least was used by that superstar during an event, which was really great. No particular case hit. The on-card autos are another big draw for me. I'm an on-card auto guy. I don't really prefer a sticker auto. So that was another thing that kind of drew me to it. And this was just a product that had a look that we hadn't seen before. And so for those reasons, as a collector, I would just tell people out there, is like, we need to temper our expectations a little bit. Each product's going to be unique and different, and the expectation should kind of meet what the product's going to bring. Don't get your heart set on certain things coming, because that's what I'm starting to notice, is just when you think you've got the pattern down, Topps is going to go ahead and change the game and do something completely different.
Yeah, agree completely. So I like the simplicity of it. We're going to talk about Chrome, and it seems like every day there's another insert, another chase, another case hit, and which is great. I mean, there's so many different hits there. This a lot more simple, especially if you PC, one or two wrestlers. It's going to be easy in this product to kind of identify what you want and not be overwhelmed. And again, pricing right now, you're going to get some great deals on it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, you mentioned it. This is the latest and greatest release this week. It's the 2026 Topps Chrome. Chrome in any product, whether it's going to be football, basketball, and now into the WWE, is probably one of the highlights of the year for most collectors, just because of the chrome finish, the high end look of the cards. Here you've got the breakdown, so they've got multiple things. So what you didn't have with Exalted that you can find now is you're going to have the retail side of things, where you're going to have the mega boxes and some value boxes, and then you're going to have the hobby, and then you're also going to have this FDI, which is the first day exclusive, kind of that first day issue that you see in a lot of the other products, where you can get limited to number 12 in this product, with sort of this flashy design on it. It's what you could find in the FDIs. There's also an FDI exclusive auto per box of that, which is numbered to 12 as well. But just the overall look of the cards, you can see they're super clean. This is just a look at some of the base autos that you're going to get. They've carried over a lot of the same things like the main event autos, but to me, I like the look of this main event auto compared to last year's. And then obviously the big chase, from just a sheer card perspective, not looking at inserts, is going to be those 101 and the inscribed autos that come along with that. So overall, this look really clean. What's your first thoughts when you see just the initial, before we get into some of these insert chases, of the look and feel of this Chrome product this year?
Absolutely love it. And you see, you hear enough out there that there's people that love it, there's people that hate it. That's going to come with any release. You're going to have people on both sides of it, but I think they did a great job improving the quality and the look of the cards from last year. I was a fan of 2025, and they have really stepped up their game here in 2026. Some of the looks of the cards, the first day issues, really like the looks of those out of 12s. Those are obviously going to be chase cards, especially the autos. And then the hobby set coming out, we're starting to see boxes ripped, and really, really impressed with the look. And kind of what I was expecting. I mean, Chrome is always, one of their flagships. And as we've seen WWE grow and the demand grow, and that comes with you needing to put out a better quality product, and they have done that. So the expansiveness of the checklist, we're going to talk about some of the inserts, the chases. There's something for everybody here, which is what I like. And I love seeing retail out there, and retail not just being an afterthought of I'm never going to hit anything, but hey, at least I found a box. I mean, we're seeing some good cards come out of some of those, the mega boxes and things like that as well. So love that everybody has a chance to hit something, whether you're, a $30 value box or you're going for the FDI or the hobby boxes. I just think it appeals to every level of collecting, which should be the goal with Topps, appeal to as many people as possible. I think this product does a great job with that.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. And the other thing too that you mentioned was the checklist, right? So it is expansive. I think over 300 wrestlers on the checklist here, which compared to Exalted was only 100 wrestlers. So in an Exalted product, you had a better chance of possibly hitting one of the bigger names, where here you're going to get some of the lesser known players in the game, but that's going to be expected with some of these larger sets that you come across. The thing that's going to be interesting is, from a price point perspective, we'll know tomorrow when it hits hobby shops, predicted to be about $450 a box. So you're going to get 12 packs, 8 cards per pack, numbered parallels throughout, guaranteed auto within that. But again, risk reward with the 300, wrestler checklist, that some of those autos, may or may not be who you're wanting and who you're expecting. So what do they do to kind of keep our interest and keep our intrigue? And that is some of these chases that we're going to talk about. So these are 4 of the largest that we see from the Topps. The biggest, I would say, without a doubt, this year is going to be those debut patches. We first saw this introduced into the baseball, where they had the prospects doing their patches on those chases. Nick Kurtz was one of the big rookies there, and I think his debut patch sold for almost $1 million, well over $500,000. So not saying that these are going to get quite there. It's a limited checklist. So I think you've got Sol Ruca and you've got Stephanie Vaquer, You've got Mr. Mateo, which I do not know why he's in that mix. It kind of seems like odd man out. But I think these are going to be extremely sought after. And then you can see in the top right corner, those Garbage Pail Kids. That's the one of the Rock. I saw one get pulled live on a stream last night. Really big chases. And then, of course, the Helix and the Field of Pop. So what do you like about these inserts? What's your chase? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they did a great job. The debut patch is obviously the highlight here. And I think a lot of people are going to be chasing these in breaks. You're going to see some pretty hefty prices on some of these. And that to me is a tough road. I mean, there's only one. Yes, you want to chase things, but as we always talk about, do it within your budget. But those obviously are going to be highly sought after. I'm really intrigued to see what kind of value these things have compared with the other sports. We're not going to touch $1 million or close to it, obviously, but what is the Vakir worth? Is it a $50,000 card? Is it a $100,000 card? And the beauty is it brings more eyes on WWE, big sales, things like that. So love that we're getting this in WWE now. The Garbage Pail Kids look awesome. Again, I was in the same stream and saw that Rock pulled. And again, where do the prices land? That's the intrigue to me is where does the market sit on these? Do we start high, end up low? Do we start lower, end up going higher? You never really know. So those two are certainly highlights. The Helixes, I think I preferred last year. I don't think we needed to put the word Helix on it this year. That may be a hot take. I just like the clean look of it last year without any words on the card. But again, those are going to be sought after. The Field of Pops are almost impossible to find from 2025. Yeah. So hopefully those continue to be limited. So all in all, and there's more, they just keep coming with the inserts and, some things that look similar to Color Blasts look good in the product as well. So like we said, there's something for everybody, but these chase cards are going to make things extremely fun, whether you're in breaks, you're breaking your own boxes. And like you mentioned, prices on the boxes going to be expensive. And let's be honest, most times you're opening a box, it's going to be a loss, but it's the fun
thrill
of the
chase, hunt, right?
And yeah, you're doing it within your budget. And, we all want to, what's more fun than ripping a box? There's nothing better than that. So however you want to attack it, again, there's something for everybody in this product for sure.
And you and I are for the consumer because we're consumers of the product ourselves. And so I will throw this out there. If you're newer to collecting and getting into some of these breaks, be really careful, right? So some of them will list some of these as case hits, quote unquote case hits. That's not true. Because there are so many of them, these are not guaranteed per case. A Garbage Pail Kid is not guaranteed one per case. A Helix is not guaranteed one per case. The Field of Pops are more like 1 per 10 case if we go off of what we saw last year. So just be really, do your homework, do your due diligence, make sure that you're really going in, diving into the checklist to get a feel and an understanding of how often these can come. Because if you're going to pay an exorbitant amount for, The Rock or a Cody Rhodes or a Cena in a case break, with the impression that, let's say there's 20 Garbage Pail Kids, so I've got a 1 in 20 chance of hitting. That's really not true. So just kind of buyer beware with some of that. But super excited about this product coming out. It's going to be sought after for the next couple of weeks until May hits, and then we've got Royalty, which is going to be the cream of the crop premium product, the closest thing, if not surpassing flawless as far as card quality. And so that may price some people out of it. If you're not familiar with Royalty from a product perspective, super high-end look, kind of gold embossed cards, just, something that I think a lot of people are going to be intrigued by, but at a price point that I think is going to push a lot of people out. But that's coming up in May. So the question now is, how do you as a collector balance all of these releases at the same time?
It can be tough. You have to, first it starts with your own budget. So some people's budget is going to be $5, $10, $20, maybe grab a pack, a couple cheap spots in a break. Some people's budget's going to be unlimited. So it's really kind of narrowing things down. I don't think there's a right answer to this, but really narrowing down and getting, I think, understanding the product, what's in the product. And you nailed it with some of the hit rates. Some people hear case hit, okay, I'm guaranteed this, and that's just not going to happen with some of those inserts. So narrowing your budget, knowing what you want, whether it's breaks, whether it's buying a box, whether it's waiting on singles. We've talked about singles, and I think it's always a horrible time to buy singles on a new product because everyone's excited about it. It drives the price up. I think waiting understanding what you want, letting the market kind of cool a little bit, especially with royalty coming out. That's when I'll be attacking Chrome. Now, some cards come up, you want them, you overpay a little bit,
Sure.
no issues there. It's always a go get what you want, but excited about royalty and see, can it match up with Flawless? To me, Flawless is the king. Do we get close to that? Does it fall short? That's exciting. And I do think with Chrome, it'll hold its value. We're still seeing 2025 cards still hold their value. Some of them continuing to go up. So like we talked about with Exalted, kind of the prices dropping. Yes, the prices on Chrome will drop a little bit, but I think they'll maintain value, especially some of the sealed wax. We're still seeing 2025 boxes, selling for crazy prices. So that I don't think will drop as much, but it'll drop enough with things that you are looking for specifically that's when you want to kind of dive in here towards the end of April, when we're getting that royalty release in the beginning of May. That's when things I think will finally settle in on some of the Chrome singles.
Yeah, you make a lot of really good points there. I think from a collecting perspective, whether you're going in the singles route or you're going in the breaks route, right? So a couple things. So from a breaking perspective, you've got a lot of breakers that are now sitting on Exalted product because they ordered in mass quantities. And now with the release of Chrome, that sort of got everyone's attention. So this is a great opportunity if you wanted to join in a break where you might be able to get some of those spots at a value price because people are just now trying to move product that they're sitting on. From a singles perspective, same thing. So out of sight, out of mind, right? Exalted isn't in the forefront. People are looking at Chrome and then looking ahead to royalty. And so now as you scour eBay, look for those auctions that are ending at odd times, and you may be able to scoop up a single for a fraction of the price that you saw. And then the other thing that I'll just bring attention to is, yes, we're kind of a comp driven world, because how else do you put a value on something? It's easy to say it's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it. But, that also depends on your budget. But from a sheer comp perspective, make sure you're using multiple comps whenever you're doing buying and even selling, just to be fair to buyers from you. Because if you just go based off of the most recent, for example, to your point, Chrome coming out right now, people already have cards on eBay. Someone's going to buy that at an exaggerated or exorbitant value, right? And so if you use that as the only comp, where you compare it to what that card might do a week from now, where it drops $50, $60, just do your due diligence and making sure that you're kind of pulling in more than one comp so that you're not being taken advantage of. And even from a seller's perspective, I mean, I sell and obviously I want to maximize my dollar, but I'm not here to take advantage of people, right? I care more about the hobby than I do the actual dollar in my pocket that I'm going to get moving a card. So just be wary of some of those things.
Yeah. And if you are a seller, it's always a good time to sell immediately. I mean, I've seen many streams, people are opening things up and people want the base cards and things that we know won't hold a lot of long-term value. But if you can maximize things as a seller, I'm with you. I'm more on the buyer, the hobby, what's good for people. But if you are a seller, always a good time to sell right away. When the product is fresh, it's hot. That's when you're going to maximize things. And that's why we warn the buyers, take your time. And it's easy to get caught up in the excitement. And, I want to buy this stuff right away. It's usually smarter to kind of let things cool off a little bit, let it settle in, kind of get an idea where the prices land and attack from there.
Yeah. So we talk about prices being up, down. We mentioned we're about a week away from WrestleMania, a lot of hype coming into that. And so one of the segments that we're going to be doing is kind of our burial report push of the week. And what that means is leading up to a lot of these PLEs, we start to see some hype build up around some of these wrestlers, and whose wrestlers' cards are really peaking as we're entering into the WrestleMania season right now. If we look back on previous sales from this week, and who are some that are kind of tapering off. And I think some of what we came up with is going to surprise people, but we're going to start off with our push of the week. So these are those individuals that we're actually seeing an increase in card values. Some of them are going to be a little bit obvious, I think, when you see the names that are listed up here. A couple maybe head scratchers, but let's dive into this. I want to get your thoughts. So over the last week, the largest increase in dollar volume of actually cards sold, and obviously there's limited ways and resources that this information can get pulled. You can use eBay and Card Ladder, but you've got Julia, Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch, and CM Punk. Now, I initially look at this list and I'm like, okay, not surprised by a couple. CM Punk just coming off of what many consider one of his greatest promos with his latest pipe bomb, where he's calling out TKO and he's calling out Pat McAfee and telling them to lower the prices. And is this a play? Is this off script? I think it's going to kind of unfold as we see what this turns into. Liv Morgan, obviously a lot of hype right now about her and her match with Stephanie Vicaire and what's going on with the Judgment Day, and Roxanne's back. And so they're back into the spotlight of things. Obviously the latest incident with her and Roxanne being pushed by Stephanie with the huge knot on her head. She's all over social media with that thing. So she's front and center. But to me, the two that surprised me are on the other side of the screen there with Becky Lynch and Julia. And the reason why is because Julia's run as champion right now has sort of seemed to fall flat. There's really not a lot of push for it. You know, the kind of beef with Tiffany Stratton has kind of fallen flat. Not a lot going on there. And then Becky's kind of a surprise, right? I don't think it's a name that you would expect, but people forget Becky Lynch is synonymous with WrestleMania. She said it in her promo against AJ Lee a couple weeks ago. That's my stage. That's my house. So what are your thoughts when you see these risers?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think two makes sense. One okay, and one doesn't make a ton of sense. So Liv, if you're in any kind of, if you're on eBay, you're on whatnot, you're a buyer, you're a seller, it's very clear to see her market is way up. People are excited about her potentially winning the championship. I don't think it hurts her if she doesn't win it. I just think her market is absolutely on fire. And we've seen this now for quite some time. You can go back before the Royal Rumble even and see that her market's been on fire. So that one totally makes sense to me. Punk, I've been waiting for, old school Punk, on the mic, and we've seen some of it, but this was finally one where I was like, yes, this is the same guy that we saw back in the day on the mic with the pipe bomb. An absolutely incredible promo. And to me, the best promos always cloud the line of, is this real life? Is this these guys frustrated and spouting off and not caring about the repercussions? We saw that with Cody Rhodes as well. When you really cloud that line, to me, that's the best form of entertainment that we have in wrestling. So absolutely incredible. Makes sense on him. Becky, to me, always has a strong market. She has her collectors. She has her people that PC her. So that one, no surprise to me. Julia is absolutely a surprise. I agree that they just haven't done much with her, and so much hype coming out of NXT and started off hot. And then it seemed like Kiana kind of passed her up and she's become an afterthought. I was surprised, and I'm surprised to not see Obafemi on this list, whose cards are absolutely on a rocket ship right now and only going to continue. I still think it's a good time to buy in on Obafemi. I mean, just the match with Brock is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
How does it play out? I hope they don't have him lose, but you never know. But he's absolutely on fire right now. And Trick Williams is another guy that I've talked about every single week. I'm going to continue to buy. His cards are finally starting to go up where they should be, in my opinion. But all in all, agree with the list, especially Liv Morgan, just absolutely red hot right now.
Yeah, and you're spot on with Oba and Trick, and that's going to be, part of the discussion next week as we lead into WrestleMania is who do we anticipate being those sort of risers going through WrestleMania season, post WrestleMania, to where that market really explodes. You hit the nail on the head with Oba and Trick, but are there going to be a couple surprises that we're not seeing out of this? Now, unfortunately, we come to that burial report. So what we did is we looked at statistics of, just steady decline in overall value and card sale volume. Who are those few wrestlers that fall in that category? One thing that I think we've known about WWE collectors is females typically reign supreme. So, that's not a surprise. So you're not going to find any of them on that list, but you may find one or two that surprise you from this, given their popularity. But the three names that came to the top here on this list: Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles. I wouldn't say I'm surprised by anybody on this list. I mean, I know the popularity that Seth Rollins brings as a technician in the ring. I think he is one of probably the best ever to do it. And his mic skills and all total package, just amazing. But WWE, as with a lot of things, is out of sight, out of mind, right? So off camera for some time due to injury. the whole masked man thing kind of threw some people off. Some liked it, some didn't like the angle of it. Now that he has removed himself from that, he's back as Seth Rollins. He's turning face, in my opinion. I mean, not that he wasn't ever, he kind of towed that line like Punk and Roman Reigns did of face, heel, face, heel. But I think we're going to see face Sami Zayn wrestling against Gunther. I think, in that match, little sneak preview from my perspective is Gunther is going to take the win. It's not going to be clean. I think Braun Breaker comes in and interferes in that match. And then you can spout off with the Seth Rollins Braun Breaker feud. And then you can have Gunther, get his favor back from Paul Heyman, which I think is going to be Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam to retire him. AJ Styles, again, not really a surprise on here because he's out of the game, right? So Hall of Fame wrestler, if you're a collector of his, great opportunity to get his stuff on the low. And for me, this is an unpopular opinion. I've never liked Sami Zayn. I'm just not a big fan of him. So the fact that he's on this list doesn't surprise me. I don't think people are really a big fan of his, U.S. title run and the way they go about it. The storyline behind the poor Sammy, like that just gets old after a while. And so I'm looking forward to hopefully Trick taking the belt off of him, Sammy taking his story in a different direction and allow Trick and the new generation to go forward. But any surprises here for you?
I mean, seeing my boy Seth on here, it'd be easy to be upset, but I think it's an opportunity. Anytime, you have a PC and he is my main PC and you see him on a list like this and you see the prices down, I'm jumping in. I'm attacking. I think he has cemented his legacy. What I don't like, and I get why they, you have Seth Rollins, you have Gunther, both kind of on the sidelines a few weeks ago. What are their matches going to be? They've had to deal with some of the injuries to Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. So it definitely feels like they just threw this together to get these two guys in a match. Now, Gunther talking with Heyman and kind of hinting at that there's more, that maybe there's something personal here with Seth. I don't know what that ties back to, so I'm interested to see how that plays out. But I agree completely with you that the favor from Heyman will be a match with Brock Lesnar, likely at SummerSlam. Now, that match, I believe, is in Minneapolis, which is Brock's hometown. So I don't know if that's a retirement match or what, but so again, it would, can hurt your feelings when your guy's on a burial report, but to me, it's an opportunity to buy. AJ, I've always felt is undervalued, but he's one of those guys that's just phenomenal in the ring, no pun intended, one of the best to ever do it. But you've never really seen his market just take off. He's just one of those guys that maybe more better in real life than in card values. So again, I think it's a good opportunity for any AJ Styles collector to grab some things, grab some grail pieces. And, I don't see his market going up as the problem, as he's further away and he's in the Hall of Fame. We don't see him anymore. It doesn't feel like a Cena, an Austin, an Undertaker. It feels like kind of a market that will steadily drop. Sammy, I'm with you. I have never seen it with Sami Zayn. I don't know the direction they're growing with him. The crowd seems fed up with him as well. We heard a lot of boos. So, with as popular as Trick is, Trick enters this as the face and Sammy kind of as the heel in this one. I just think people are fed up with him. They're just, I've just never seen the upside with Sami Zayn or what they're doing. And to have Carmelo Hayes go on this huge run, kind of carry that title for 8, 9, 10 weeks, then you give it to Sammy because he's whining and he found his way into WrestleMania. Yay. I don't know who's excited about that. So if anything, if it's we're going to give the belt to Trick, which they better, in my opinion, I don't see why you'd have Sami Zayn win this match. Doesn't make any sense to me. Or why you didn't inject Carmelo Hayes into it and make it a triple threat match. He's been great over with the crowd. He has history with Trick Williams. Why they didn't go that route, I think would have made this a much better match. And maybe they still might go that route. But Sammy, to me, is just a guy I don't buy. I don't get it. He's got his PC people out there. That's fine. Never going to hate on anybody for what you collect, but just not seeing the direction or any kind of upward trajectory. What does Sami Zayn do to make his cards go even higher? I just can't come up with anything.
No, I'm with you. And, from, Fatal 4-Way would have been a real easy way to go. Throw Carmella in there with Ilya, and then you've got the four of them going at it. But, we're not the writers. We don't get paid to do it. And so we'll just see how it plays out. I think there's a lot of head scratchers because you also have a WrestleMania card without Io Sky and without Tiffany Stratton on it. And so there's a lot of questions there. But two things that you mentioned when you were talking about Sami Zayn, you said, well, there's some collectors out there, right? And I think that's important to know. I think a lot of times people get caught up in the hype of like, obviously we want our investment, what we put our money into to hold value and maybe to grow in value. So it's not like we're here to lose money or lose value, but we're also collectors because we love it. And so there's a collector for everybody. And so to that perspective, another segment that we're going to end with here that you're going to see from us on a weekly basis are like, what are our pickups for the week? Those cards that we picked up that are near and dear to us, and reasons why we went in and got some of these. So we'll throw these up here and kind of walk through them. We'll go one by one. So I'll start off in this top left. For me, this is the 2022 Select Elephant Print PSA 10 of Shane McMahon. I put something out on our Instagram not too long ago. For me, I think that some of the zoo animal prints are probably some of the most underrated cards that come out of the Select. I don't think people really understand the pop count on them. Most of these cards, whether it be your zebra, your tiger, or your elephant, are going to be found in numbers 10 or less. And the elephant, I believe, was retail exclusive. So that's the only place you could get those, was from a retail perspective. And for me, Shane McMahon has just been always one of those guys. I was really hopeful that he would have been on the other end of the phone with Randy Orton. I thought that would have been a great angle because he's in that lineage, that family that Randy talked about. And then you had, Stephanie come out and tease with Cody and smacking him. And so I thought kind of the pieces were falling into place where it could have been Shane McMahon. But I always loved what he did in and outside the ring, willing to put his body on the line for anything. So big Shane McMahon fan. So that's the first one I went to.
Yeah, love that card. And elephants were only the 1 year, and it's first year Select. So, a little more rare than you're not going to find as many elephants as you see tigers and zebras. So great card there, especially to get it in a 10. So, and as far as the McMahons, I think there's more coming with this whole, we didn't really hit on McAfee and that whole scenario. And Stephanie McMahon was just kind of random showing up on Raw. So I think there could be more. Hell, you're hearing whispers about Vince potentially being involved. So I am intrigued to see how this plays out over the next couple of weeks. But absolutely,
I think bringing Vince McMahon out would be about as controversial as if they rolled Trump out on stage for WrestleMania.
Agreed. So I don't know that it's happening, but Shane is always a draw. Especially they go away for a while, and then when they come back, you just appreciate it that much more. So. Great card, and hopefully he does get involved in WrestleMania. Even if he doesn't, McMahon stuff will always hold value. Any of the three, you look at their stuff, and always in high demand.
For sure. What do you got? What's your
first one for me? The Rhea Ripley Gold Auto 2022. So first year Select. It's numbered out of 5. She's again legacy, one of the best. Right now, we're going to be one of the best to ever do it. Potential to win the championship here at WrestleMania. Not so sure how I feel about these rare edition slabs. It's the first one that I've had. So, debating, keep it in that, cross it over. But anytime I can get my hands on 2022, first year stuff is always going to be in high demand. It's Rhea. It's out of 5. It just checks a lot of boxes for me.
Absolutely beautiful card. I've heard consistently from people that attend live events, without a doubt, gets the largest pop out of any wrestler that comes through the tunnel. Probably the face of women's wrestling now, and I can't see that steam slowing down for any reason. So beautiful card there, and gold. Everybody loves gold, right? So great choice there. My next one is going to be down center. We're going to keep it in the McMahon family. This is the Triple H Color Blast, again in a PSA 10. I think you're going to see a theme here. I'm a sucker for PSA 10s. If I'm going to have a card in my collection, it's going to be graded. I want a 10. That's just how I am. But the Color Blast for me, when you look at the downtowns, the Color Blasts, those one-off inserts, Color Blasts have always been my favorite. This is just an iconic image for me. I'm not huge on the horizontal cards. I definitely prefer a vertical if I have an option to it. But just from the overall presence of what he looks like on this card, this was just one that I had to add to the collection.
Yeah, love the color blasts, and I think these are only going to hold or increase in value over the years. They're going to get harder and harder to find, and you just don't see many in a 10 as well. And I'm with you. I want 10s, like, but it's either, sure, some things I get a 9, okay, and maybe you upgrade and you move on from the 9, but the 10s definitely stand out. And I love that image. I love these cards, and that's one you just store away and let it sit and let it appreciate over the years. So
Absolutely.
I'll stay on the Triple H theme here. I'll go to the bottom right, and the triple patch flawless. I grew up in the Attitude Era, so this card really appealed to me. Having all three of them. Obviously, we know China's not with us anymore, just doesn't have a ton of products, but to get all three on a card, three great patches. I'm not a huge patch relic guy unless they're kind of cool. They have multiple colors. I think we have too many kind of plain relics. Some of the matte relics I'm not a huge fan of, but to have three great patches in this card, and then anything flawless in a 10, you just don't see very often. I mean, the set just does not grade well with the thickness, especially with three patches, all of the different corners and all of those patches. It's just a card I think will always be a low pop, low numbered, and I love me some DX. So I was happy to add this one to the collection.
Who doesn't? Anybody growing up in that Attitude Era, if you weren't walking around saying "suck it" to somebody, I don't know what you were doing. And China is absolutely, to me, an undervalued, underrated wrestler. She broke the glass ceiling for female wrestlers in the WWE, and just that's a great piece. So love to see that one. My last card down bottom left. The other thing that I'm a sucker for is a white sparkle. Probably get annoyed with me in Whatnot streams because every time I get on there, I'm asking for white sparkles, but that's my thing. So this is the 2024 Tiffany Stratton white sparkle. This is her first WWE white sparkle. The 2023 was her NXT, again in a PSA 10. Another thing that I don't think people realize the pop count and the values of these cards. They're numbered 20 or less, although they're not insignia numbered. They are print run 20 or less. Depending upon the superstar, they can be as low as 5. And that comes directly from a source with inside Panini where I got that information from. So take that for what it's worth. But I just love the look of a white sparkle card. I think it pops. I think this one is just, she's a rising star. Not really using her to the best of her abilities right now because I think in ring she's got all that she needs. Work on the mic a little bit more maybe so that she can hang with some of the big dogs. But I think she's going to be, really bright future here. So was glad to add this one to the PC.
Yeah, I'm also a big white sparkle fan. So you run into that. You and I are in the same streams, and you run into, and everyone has friends in the industry, and you run into the do I want to butt heads? Do I want to back off and let my boy get what he wants? But I'm a big fan here as well. And Tiffy, you're hearing whispers that maybe she's not as excited about wrestling, kind of losing her passion, and kind of surprised to see her not on the card. So I don't know if maybe they throw together a Tiffy, Julia, Io, some kind of match. I don't know how you leave these three off the WrestleMania card, which is pretty full, but to me, great card in a 10. These cards, a lot of them are very off-centered is the problem. You buying them raw, be very, very keen on, especially to left to right, but it can be top to bottom as well. If you are looking to grade it, really inspect these cards. So I think the 10s are always going to be low pop just because of some of the centering issues. But you've nailed it on a few of these that are kind of sneaky. And I think over time, people will kind of realize the elephants, the animal prints, the white sparkles, different things that are not numbered. So people don't see, okay, it's out of 5, it's out of 10, but still very, very scarce and just going to be harder and harder to find as we go throughout the years. I'll finish up. This is a card I've been looking for years since I jumped in and never find them. And one of our boys has one and refused to sell it to me. So finally got the opportunity to get the Seth Rollins debut out of 15. These are incredibly tough to find. I love the design on these cards. I try to get any of them that I see and add them to the collection. Because again, yes, these are numbered. It's easy to see. They're rare. I think they're just going to get harder and harder to find throughout the years. So to me, this was an easy buy. This was one of those cards. When I see it, I don't care what it costs. I'm just buying it. Ended up getting a really good deal on it. So It's one of those, do I grade it? Do I leave it alone? Always a debate for people, so I haven't quite decided there. But this was at the top of my list for cards of Seth Rollins that I wanted. Happy to finally add this one to the collection.
I don't blame you, and I don't think people give Impeccable and Immaculate as a whole the credit that it's due. I think, when you look at card stock and just the quality of these cards, they're really premium to me. Yeah. And I love these cards. I think everybody gets caught up on the past and present. Like, that's where they focus a lot, on those past and present cards, and they forget these debuts. And, what's great is the numbering. Like, each one is different. So this one's to 15. You got some that are to 99. You got some that are to 6. Depending upon what it is, milestone that they're celebrating on the cards. So these are amazing cards, but really great pickups. This is something that I enjoy doing. I think this is going to be a segment that I'm really going to like moving forward, is where we kind of get to share a little bit of the personal side behind who it is we're chasing, why we're chasing them, the story behind it. But awesome cards to see. Awesome recap of what's going on right now. This is kind of what you can learn to expect. So if this is your first time joining us, this is what we're going to be doing, right? It's going to be all things WWE. We're going to have a focus on the trading card side of things because that's near and dear to us. But next week's the road to WrestleMania. This is where things really ramp up. So I'm curious to see, Chrome's going to release, what big cards are going to get pulled. We're going to keep our eye on that so we can share that with you guys and track some of the larger hits there. Maybe we'll get some more information on royalty that we can share with you. And I know Fanatics just had their big summit. And so there were some announcements around WWE that are getting real specific on some new product that we can anticipate. So we'll look to dive into that. But awesome time talking shop with you as always, Beer. I enjoy it, and can't wait to see where we go from here.
Yeah, exciting times. I mean, WrestleMania, all the cards that have come out already, should be a fun weekend of Chrome. So again, spend wisely, spend within your budget, but get in those breaks, check out the singles and things coming down the pipe. But do us a favor. If you enjoyed the show, spread the word, give it a follow, share it with any wrestling fans, any wrestling card fans. And, we both are very passionate about this. This isn't about us making money, or we're just on here wanting to talk wrestling. So if there's things you guys want us to hit on, let us know, and just, again, share it, follow us. And if you guys have any questions, anything you guys want to talk about, both of us certainly within reach by DM, whether it's Whatnot, Instagram, or here on YouTube. So we appreciate everybody for listening, and excited to see how this road to WrestleMania plays out.
Absolutely. Well, tune in next week. And as always, this is Two Heels, One Hobby. We'll catch you next time.
That's the final bell for Two Heels, One Hobby. Wrestling news, collector heat, and championship talk. Make sure you like, subscribe, and join the movement. Hosted by Beer and the Grinch.